Hello, and welcome to this special weekday Motor Trade Radio podcast, powered by Motors and Cazoo, with Philip Nothard and Curtis Hutchinson, bringing you all the chatter that matters.
Hello and welcome to the Motor Trade Radio podcast. Today we're delighted to welcome Umesh Samani, Chairman of the Independent Motor Dealers Association and owner of Specialist Cars in Stoke-on-Trent, which he has run since 1997, as well as the adjoining Harris Motor Company MOT and Service Centre, which he acquired in 2016. Umesh will be a familiar name to many listeners for his tireless work over the years, raising the profile of the independent sector as a co-founder of the IMDA, which celebrates its 10th anniversary next year, also as an industry commentator and as the owner of an award-winning business that sets the bar for best practices. Umesh has been in the car retailing business since the age of 16. And before stepping into the independent sector, he actually worked in the franchise world as a salesman for a VW, Audi and Seat business. So welcome back to the pod, Umesh. That probably sounded a bit like this is your life, isn't it?
Good morning. Absolutely. That's a lot there, Curtis, that you said about me. Thank you very much. Yes.
Curtis doing his research there, Umesh.
He's done a lot of research. I mean, to go back to the fact that I've been in the industry since the age of 16, which is not that long ago, I believe, but there we go. Just a few years, isn't it, really? But yeah, been about it a long, long time.
Yes, man and boy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and still going strong.
I'd like to think so. You know, I still love what I do, and I think that's the secret, probably. You know, do what you love, isn't it? Really, it's not a job, is it? Then.
No. And it's a great, as Curtis has touched on there, alongside everything else you get involved with through the IMDA and other things, the specialist cars, people do see that as a benchmark to thrive in terms of what you deliver and your high standards and the way you take that business. I mean, it is you. That's, you're the head of that, you're running that business and you're there day in, day out. But let's, welcome back. And Curtis and I were saying that, in our annual get together for Motor Trade Radio podcast, when Curtis and I bump into each other and grab a selfie at the AM Live once a year, we also bump into you. And we always say, we need to get you back on the podcast, Umesh, and kind of another year goes back and we bump into you again at the next AM Live event down in Birmingham. We go, we do need to get you back on the podcast. So here you are. So we're not going to do that again this year. You're back on. It's great to have you back on.
Yeah, we've finally pulled it off you. We've pinned you down.
Yeah, absolutely. This is so true, isn't it? As you say, every year we see each other there, and we have the same conversation. We'll get you on the pod. We'll get you on the pod, and time just seems to fly away, doesn't it? So quickly. Yes. Yeah.
So, talking of time, let's start off with the IMDA. And as Curtis said there, it's the 10th anniversary next year, which I can't believe because being involved with it right at the outset, the early time when it was set up, I can't believe it was 10 years. But, you've been involved since the start. For you, what has been some of the standout successes? And probably as a follow-up to that, what's the current membership and do you have a target that you'd like to reach?
You're so right. 10 years almost since we started it, remember 5th of November 2017. I think it started, of course, trying to help the independent dealers. The independent dealers have never had a voice. This is the whole thing. I suppose we're classed as the poor relation, aren't we, in the industry? So it was all to bring together like-minded dealers to help and support each other, because there is no help, there is no support for the independents. You think how many small independent dealers are there sitting in porter cabins, little offices like mine, trying to run their own businesses, and they don't know where to turn to. So the initial idea of let's help each other. It started with the original Twitter Car Dealer Forum, where we'd got nearly 1,000 members. It all started from social media, of just chatting away, having a separate group, which then obviously eventually was the start of the IMDA. So helping independent dealers is a big thing out there, giving them advice, support. And the association, I think some of the biggest wins are the fact that we've helped so many dealers with, let's say, legal advice. It's been free for dealers to get the legal advice, the support. We've had direct communication with the DVLA. So dealers now can literally, if they've got an issue with a V5 or whatever, they contact Gareth at the IMDA, and Gareth will speak to DVLA direct. And generally, we've had dealers who've had issues with DVLA for weeks or even months on end. They can't get a resolution to it. IMDA step in, a conversation, an email, and within days or sometimes a couple of weeks, it's all sorted. These are the things that a lot of dealers don't understand what actually the IMDA do. Yeah, they believe it's just an association that just sits there, doesn't do anything. But there's so much work that goes into the background to help the dealers and supporting them all the way through. We've got private people now contacting the IMDA to say, is this one of your dealers? Luckily, we don't get too many complaints. But again, it just shows how the consumers are even reaching out to the association to find out who the dealers are. At the end of the day, we're not policing, there to police all the dealers. We're there to ensure that if you're a member of the IMDA, just follow the code of conduct.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, isn't it? Raise a standard, do the job right. And it's easy, isn't it, really, if you think about it? If you say what you're going to do, look after customers, which is what I've done for almost 30 years, the customers come back to you. You get a good reputation. You don't have aggro. You don't get negative reviews. So it's building that standard for the dealers so that they are doing the job right.
And as you say, it's giving the independents, no matter how large or small they are, a voice, aren't they? They're giving them a collective voice when it comes to challenging things, when it comes to raising concerns, when it comes to, as you say there, things like the changes within the DVLA that affects the efficiencies and the day-to-day running within the independent dealer. And as talking of which, and as I say, in terms of membership, and I remember right at the start, we always had targets of how many members we wanted to get within the IMDA. And I know you've got suppliers that are involved with the IMDA, but what is that membership looking like now in terms of the IMDA? And do you have a new target that you're thriving for in terms of membership?
Interesting, actually, because most businesses or associations tend to work on targets of numbers that we need. From day one, to me, it's never been about numbers. It's not a case of we need 2,000, 5,000, 20,000 members on board. What we want is like-minded dealers, as I've always said. It's people who do the job right. Currently, we're just short of 2,000 members, which is forever a moving goal, actually, because last year, as a calendar year, I think we lost 253 members, which is a lot of dealers we've lost for various reasons. Some could be just shutting down because it's not a viable business. Some could be literally selling out and, they're going to the sunset with the big payout. They've sold the sites, which is fantastic. All different changes, being taken over or whatever. So it's not sort of disaster, but 253 is what we lost as members, but we gained 350. Yeah. So that just shows, how it can be a moving goalpost all the time. But going back to the fact that, goals of how many members we want, it's not about it. If we get 4,000, we get 5,000. It's nice to have the bigger numbers, but we genuinely want like-minded dealers. That's what it's about. It's having a community of like-minded dealers who actually want to be part of a group, help and support each other. And we've got suppliers-wise, we've got about 50 suppliers who help and support all the dealers. But again, going back to supplying partners, we don't want lots and lots of partners. We want suppliers who are the right fit. in the sense of how they can help the dealers, how they can be part of the IMDA, but not only that, what they will get from the association and the members as well. So, on January this year or alone, we've turned away, I'm just trying to think, something like 20 odd partners who wanted to partner to the IMDA, but they're not the right fit. It's as simple as that, really. So we don't want to just get partners on board just for the sake of it if they can't help the association or can't help the members. It's got to be the
And
right fit.
And Umesh, staying with the commercial partners, because that's been one of the real success stories of the IMDA. I mean, you talk about the membership, and you've clearly got that critical mass now in terms of members of around 2,000. But one of the things that's interested me with the growth of the IMDA is these commercial partners that you've built up over the years. You say you've got 50. Can you tell us a bit more about how you've developed that side of the association, and also some of the areas that those partners represent?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, we need the partners obviously to get the association running, because it is still free for members, believe it or not.
Yeah.
When we first started the association, we did think about charging for it, but then we thought, you know what, let's just try and help the dealers so the dealers don't have to pay anything. So any dealer that wants to join as a member is still free. Zilch, not a penny, which is amazing. So all the partners wise, we've got various partners, and we've got partners who genuinely believed in the IMDA before we even started, and they're still with us today. Almost 9 years on, 10 years next year, who are still with us from day one because they believed in what we started, what we're doing. So we've got various partners, and it could be website developers, DMS systems. We've just taken on a couple of partners for stock sourcing and stock disposal. So they've just come on board in the last few days. So again, it's all partners who can help the dealers. So it could be either to save money, or it could be to make money, or have processes in place. We've got a couple of AI partners which will help dealers. So almost anything a dealer will want in their business, we can almost offer it. We haven't got every partner at the moment for every single eventuality, and the garage or business or dealership or whatever, but we try to find the right fit who can help the dealers, training wise, EV training, which is a very important thing. So we've got a partner who will do that, sales training, so everything out there. And of course, we've got exclusive insurance. We've got a new insurance partner, Jenston Insurance, who are exclusive. So again, they have a tailor-made package just for IMDA dealers, which will save them money. But for motor insurance, building motor insurance.
Yeah.
So again, it's just all the partners do bring things which dealers need.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting there is that those partners, they are committed, and they will actually tailor their products, their solutions to your membership. So it's not just partnering with the association, but it's finding ways of actually working with the members, isn't it?
It's helping them, supporting them. That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
And also, there's so many who will offer free trials to say, we don't expect you to commit to these packages or solutions or whatever. We think it might be a good fit, but you know what? Here's maybe a month or 2 months free. Just try it out. No obligation. That's the beauty of it, isn't it, really? Because none of us want to get tied into contracts or things that don't work. I think we've all been there too many times probably over the years. So it's nice to have partners that genuinely want to help the IMDA dealers.
And thinking ahead, I mean, we've mentioned obviously, the activities that you're working on. You're talking about those new sort of commercial partners, those new suppliers coming on board. And, we mentioned a couple of times now about next year being the 10th anniversary in November 2027. In terms of what have you got planned now? Have you got any sort of specific, forthcoming activities with the IMDA? I know, you've been doing events over in Ireland, and you do the master classes and the workshops that people can attend. what have you got planned now in terms of activities over the next sort of 12 months? And thinking more specifically, further than that, anything especially for the 10th anniversary?
The masterclasses, they have been a massive success for as long as we've been going, really. The dealers, the benefits they've had. We've had so many different masterclasses, and every time the dealers have come away, have been raving about them genuinely to say how much they've learned. But not only learning from the masterclasses, it's the networking, isn't it? It's always about that networking, who you meet on the day, another dealer, a like-minded dealer who you can pick the phone up to or do deals with. I've been around different venues and sat around tables, introduced a couple of dealers together, and they've gone on to do some business between them. Which is what a lot of people don't understand, do they? You go to the masterclass thinking you're just going to learn about whatever. It could be AI, it could be stock sourcing, it could be stock turned, profitability, whatever the masterclass is about. But it's that network connection as well, which is a big thing. And I know it's difficult because a lot of dealers say they haven't got the time to get out.
Well, that's the thing with independence, isn't it?
I know, yeah. But and I'm a one-man band, as you know, guys. And even before I was part of the IMDA, I would always try to make that time to go to the events. Could be car dealer live events, or it could be Motor Trade, or it could be AM. Whatever the events were, I always made a point of I need to get out there because. I might just come back with one golden nugget that's going to save me money or make money for me, or I'll meet somebody who will, I can connect with and learn from them. And I think a lot of independent dealers don't seem to understand that bit. All they think is, I might miss a deal. It's one day, guys. It's one day. So all I would say is, encourage these people to say, get out there. Whatever the event may be, get out there, spend the day out there. So the masterclasses, we've had them in, throughout this country. We've been to Northern Ireland as well. They sort of, a lot of dealers look forward to those to say, when's the next one or what's the topic of it. And it's always trying to find the topic which is helpful to the dealers. Currently it's AI, so we had an AI not too long ago. We're just planning another one at the moment with AI, which we're looking at. Couple of other ones which I can't just say at the moment. Just nearly slipped out there, but I couldn't just say that at the moment on that one. So as soon as we think we've got the right masterclass set out there, we got the message out there. Ultimately, what I would like to do one day, which is a very big one that I've always wanted to do for a long time, would be ideally to get all the partners that we've got, supplying partners, in a big place, and to get probably 100 dealers plus whatever there for the same day, and we have maybe a couple of speakers, something like that, so you can get all the dealers there, get all the partners there, because again the dealers can probably understand what some of the partners do on a face-to-face 10-minute conversation in a room, in a big event, whatever, and also meet other dealers. So ultimately that's going to be great.
Feels like an anniversary conference. An IMDA 10th anniversary conference on the.
I think if somebody done well. Somebody done well. That would be good. That would be good. Yes.
That does seem like again, just summing up there. Obviously you've got as you say, it's continually changing. AI's being the latest one, and what can the independent dealer sector learn from some of your suppliers around that AI technology. But I think clearly it does feel like you're at that stage now with circa 2,000 dealers strong, 50 supplier dealers strong, supplier strong. Then a mini conference somewhere, as you say, where the dealers can actually meet the suppliers in person. Does sound like a nice little event, that one. But no, fantastic, and it does sound like there's a little bit more to come still from the IMDA. As you say, we're in an industry that is continually evolving, throwing up challenges and opportunities, and that's where you can help them dealers support that. But we'll be back after this brief break with more from Umesh. You stay tuned.
You're listening to all the chatter that matters on this special weekday episode of Motor Trade Radio, powered by Motors and Cazoo.
So, Umesh, turning to your day job as the owner of a successful independent car retailer, what's your take on how the used car sector has performed so far in Q1? And have there been any noticeable differences this year compared to Q1 last year?
2026. I think it's been a very, very mixed start for a lot of dealers. But for me, certainly, it started pretty well January. January is always mixed for me in a bizarre way, actually, because I know a lot of people said January is a big boost and big sales, whatever, but it's always been very mixed for me. So
Yeah.
2026, January started very well for me. February went very quiet for some reason. I don't know why. And then March is big upsurge again. So it's been a very mixed start for me, but I'm actually ahead of 2025 for volume and margins for both of them, which I'm glad to say.
Yeah, no, that is interesting, isn't it? And going into January, do you tend to stock up in December in preparation for January?
Do you know, I get too carried away. It doesn't matter what time of the year it is. I cannot say no to nice cars. That's my problem. If I get offered anything nice, as for almost 30 years, I've never bought a car from the auction. So I still source cars or buy cars directly off the private people.
Right.
And I suppose the little bit of downfall with that is you can't always predict who's going to turn up on the forecourt or that phone call telling me, I want to sell this car. Do you want to buy it? So you have to sort of be ready or not, if you know what I mean. So literally, even last couple of weeks, stock was getting a little bit down, and the phone was just ringing saying, "Do you want to buy this?" And I have a habit to keep saying, if it fits my profile, I want it. It's like, yes, I want that car. Yes, I want that car. And ultimately, the phone calls start coming in. And to the point I'm thinking, do you know what? All these cars are just about to land. And
Yes. Yeah.
what am I going to do with them? Who's going to pay for them? But he just looks after himself, doesn't he? He just carries on. So you just have to be prepared to buy that. So in December, I did buy quite a bit, ready for the upsurge. But I said January's always been funny for me for almost every year that
Yeah.
I've been there. Yeah.
And I mean, it's an interesting model that you've got there. So, as you say, all your cars are bought from private owners. What percentage of them typically would be coming to you for a part exchange on another car? And what percentage would be just they just want to get rid of their car? They want a buyer for the car, and they come to you. How does that split?
So part exchanges coming against cars that I've got is very low, actually.
Yeah.
It's probably 15-20%.
Right. Yeah.
Just don't seem to get that many part exchanges these days.
Yeah.
People seem to find homes for them. It's just bizarre, actually. So yeah, majority are sort of straight sales, and people seem to think cash sales is a big hook. It isn't actually. I'd love to get another part exchange back in again that I can retail, because say who's trying to
Yes.
find another car,
Yeah.
and obviously different price bracket. So it is a low percentage that sort of come back in part exchange.
And in terms of the cars that you are sourcing from these private individuals, do you find yourself competing more with franchise sites for older cars? Because older cars tend to be the bread and butter of independent dealers, but franchise dealers are looking more closely at those older profile cars, certainly over recent years than they did before. So, is it more competitive now trying to get hold of older cars?
It's very competitive, not just older cars generally, I think, but yeah, as you say, going back to the franchise. I mean, since the pandemic, lockdown situation, the franchise dealers have had older cars, higher mileage cars, because I think they've struggled to get, I suppose, newer stock in part exchange, and they've decided, what we're giving away the profit opportunity, let's go ourselves with it.
Yeah,
So they are having older cars and selling older cars, but I think there's quite a few franchise dealers. I think they've got the fingers burnt, because they keep forgetting the older cars the prep they require. And it's not a case of
yeah,
just a quick service. Yet all of a sudden you start replacing brake discs and pads and suspensions, whatever. So all of a sudden the potential profit they thought they were going to get is coming back to bite them, really. And I also think, they're not probably attracting the customers. either. So they're trying it, but historically, people go to the franchise dealers because they think they're buying a newer car. So I think they might not get quite the sales of for having the older cars either. So I think I think the third situation also is the fact that the consumers see older cars, but they want the same quality as the newer cars in the forecourt or the big franchise sites, don't they? So I'm not sure if it's working out for all the franchise dealers taking these older cars on, because I have seen a slight swing of some of them now saying, do you know what, we've tried, he got the fingers burnt, let's not get involved. But there is
Feels like we've heard that one before, Umesh, when
yes,
stock becomes a little bit tighter and nearly new supply tightens a little bit, or the supplier, and then they go into that age and mileage profile just starts to creep up a little bit. But as you say, some of them do find that the days in stock, the backlogging after in the service department, and costs start to go up. And as you say, I think it's always that question that when somebody steps into a franchise dealer, there is a change in expectations from the consumer, and they've got to deliver those high expectations no matter how old and mileage on that vehicle. So, like you say, it does change. But I mean, you touched on EV slightly earlier on, and turning to EVs. What's your view at the minute as an independent dealer, and you do, I don't know where you are now yourself in terms of specialist cars around your EV, dabbing your toe into the water or not, and how much you do it. But what's your view on the challenges and opportunities now for independents selling used EVs and or hybrids? I mean, David Billsbury is friend of both of ours. He's doing quite well at some of the EVs he's starting to get involved with. What's your feedback? What's your view on it at the minute?
EV is an interesting subject, that one, actually, because it's again a very, very hot topic. Dave's done very well with EVs, hasn't he? Recently, absolutely. Believe it or not, I've not had a fully EV vehicle in stock as yet. That doesn't make me anti-EV, never have been. It's an interesting market for the independents of the EV, because I think it's a market which a lot of independents don't fully understand. I think the biggest thing is understanding there's a different way to sell EVs. It's not just a consumer just walking in and you talk them into an EV. It's a different way to sell EVs. The challenge is understanding the EV itself, how to sell to a different customer, and how to sell it in a different way. I mean, I've had various conversations with customers on here who've walked in here and said, I won't buy an EV. And when I've explained the benefits that it may do, depending on their lifestyle, quite a few walked out and said, oh, never thought of it that way. That would suit me. So I think it's an explain to the consumers of which is probably the right way. A bit like the old petrol diesel scenario. It doesn't suit one one customer, the other one might suit you better. So EVs, I think there's massive opportunity out there for the independent dealers. I think independents need to grasp it, get involved, because there is potential of good profits. The biggest challenge is watching the residual values, I think, and understanding the market for that car, because that seems to be very, very volatile of how fast the prices are changing. And if you don't move your stock very quickly, I think with EVs, then I think you're going to get burnt. That's what I would say. There's massive opportunity there, but just be aware of days to turn, the margins. Don't be looking for bigger margins. You just need to keep turning them faster, because the prices are dropping out there. I think there's a bit of a ticking time bomb, I think, with EVs, because there's so many out there, and I'm not sure if there's enough market there for EVs long term wise at the moment.
Yeah. So do you get that feeling then? I mean, I know you say you've not stocked any yourself, but do you think that is the concern, particularly in that small independent owner driver sector, that it's that volatility around pricing that does put a lot of them off, and alongside the lack of knowledge and understanding of products as well?
I think it is 100%, because I think a small independent will think, okay, do you know what, I can buy whatever 5 cars or 10 cars or whatever. What is going to sell the fastest? And because we're all habitual, aren't we? Really, we tend to understand what was going to sell, a petrol or diesel, whatever it may be. We think we know that's going to turn faster. The EVs might be faster, but without having the full knowledge and experience of having numbers of them, it's difficult to gauge that. And I think also sometimes you need numbers of vehicles rather than just the odd one or two, which might be an EV. So I think you need more of them to understand the market for it. And I think the other problem is also, luckily, not too many EVs are giving issues. But then the back of your mind, you think, is hold on a minute, if I've got an issue, is my workshop going to be capable of doing it? Is a workshop that I use down the road, are they going to be capable of doing it? Or have I got to rely on the franchise dealer, which is a massive barrier, because no matter, which franchise dealer you ring, you're not going to get 100% support, because number one, you're an independent dealer or a used car dealer, whatever you want to call. And secondly, the time scale. I mean, I've got a situation with a Kia, which has got to go back to the franchise dealer, and we rang them 2 weeks ago, and they can't get the car in till the 31st of March. Luckily, on this particular example, the customers are away on holiday. They left me with the keys to the house and the keys and whatever, and they've said just sort it out whenever. And the delay is not an issue, but if that car's got to go to the franchise dealer and they can't get it in for almost a month, that is a big no-no, isn't it, really, if you think about it? Because that car could be sitting on the forecourt, or if that they can't sell, or if it's sold, they've got issues with getting the car back. So I think that's the other thing which independent dealers are also worried about in the background of, like, where does that car go if there's an issue?
And Umesh, you've highlighted that March trading is looking good. Just looking at into the next quarter, Q2. What's your view on what are your expectations for both the used car market in the next quarter and yourself as a business? How's Q2 looking for specialist cars?
If you asked me that about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I would have said it was looking very positive, and I think Q2 is going to be quite good, really. Although we've got holiday seasons coming up, people tend to get holidays. But I think with what's happening currently in the world, I think people are just cautious now and worried. So I think the confidence thing might just slow things down for all of us. I think, not just independent. I think even new car dealers. I think people will be cautious of, like, do I spend the money? My heating bills are going up, etc., etc. So I think maybe that might just slow things down. Let's hope not. But but before that, I was pretty confident that it's going to be a good second quarter.
And finally, I mean, thinking about now, 2027 will be the 30th anniversary of specialist cars. How would you reflect on those 3 decades now? And do you have any plans to mark this anniversary? I mean, maybe have a day off, but what 3 decades, 30 years, specialist cars. You've seen the change in the sector. How would you sum those sort of 3 decades up?
Sounds a long time when you say 30 years, doesn't it? Yeah, probably a day off actually would be a good idea. But no, 30 years. Wow, lots and lots of changes over the years. Over those 30 years, I'm lucky to have lived and enjoyed 30 years in business. Not many people make that sort of a scale. Celebration time, it's strange actually, because it is sort of in the thought process, because when it was 20 years in business, I invited customers and friends to the showroom to an event where it was just to say thank you for supporting me over the years, all the raving fans that I've created. And I had a sort of like an open day. They came and went. I had a car simulator, a few other bits going on there. I had a friend of mine, Chris, who does outdoor catering, Greek food. Fantastic job of that one. And the amazing thing was, all the people, and there was customers who came from quite a distance, who said to me, I can't believe you've invited me. I've only bought one car off you. They travelled all that time just to spend time here, I think, which just shows you look after people, they look after you, don't they, really? And since that customer actually bought the car off me. But it was a great event, and the guy who came from the car simulator said to me, how many are you expecting? I said, I don't know. I said, the feedback tells me sort of 75, 80 people. He just looked at me in a bit of a daze and he said, 75, 80. He says, really? I said, yeah. Because he'd done events for franchise dealer, he told me later on, and there only had 20 or 30 people. And we counted over 100 people on that event. And he said, I'm blown away with the number of people and how far they've travelled to come and see you. So that was a big celebration. 25 years, I did a similar sort of thing. And then we had a Land Rover converted pizza guy. An old Land Rover, he had a pizza oven. That's the word I'm looking for in the back of it. And again, similar sort of thing. And we had over 100 people then. So 30 years, what do I do? I've got to have a big celebration.
Bigger and better.
It's got to be bigger and better, I suppose, to topple that's done. But it's great, actually, because I've loved my journey, part of just specialist cars. Obviously, Harris would have been just over 10 years I've owned that one, and also the IMDA as well. So, to love what I do, to have so many customers who I call raving fans who've turned into friends. And that is a great journey for me as far as I'm concerned. I think that's what I call success in life.
Well, hopefully, we look forward to that. And, please do let us know when you finally decide what it is you're going to do. And we'll certainly give it a shout out. If we don't, let's get you back on before then. But no, we'll certainly give you a shout out. And I think it does feel that, next year being the 10th anniversary of the IMDA and, 30 years for yourself, it does feel like that something needs to be celebrated, Umesh. And like you say, maybe have a long weekend off as well, whilst you're at it.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
Well, Umesh, many thanks for joining us on the Motor Trade Radio podcast. Before you go, can you just let listeners know the best way to get in touch with the IMDA if they're interested in joining?
Absolutely. Now, if people haven't heard about the IMDA, they really need to find out, because some of the biggest newspapers have heard about us, the Telegraph, the Times, and we're also big in Japan. The Yomashiri Shambun even interviewed me. They sent two guys over from Japan to come and interview me a couple of years back. So this is how big the IMDA is, that they wanted to speak to me about EVs 2 years ago. Can you believe it? So
amazing.
Absolutely. So I say we're big all over the place. So, but if you haven't heard about us, please, if you're an independent dealer, and that independent dealer means not just a used independent car dealer, it can be independent van dealer, independent franchise dealer. So if you're an independent, it's free to join. I can't stress that enough. It's free to join. Pop over to theimda.co.uk. That's theimda.co.uk. Join for free, and the benefits are just endless, including free legal advice from Law Data, exclusive insurance from Jenston Insurance, and I could sit there all and tell you about it, but pop over to theimda.co.uk and check out what the association is all about.
Yeah, well, Umesh, on behalf of Philip and myself, many thanks for joining us. We've really enjoyed this conversation. It's been great to catch up with you again, and we do promise to have you back a lot sooner than the gap that it's been since the last time. So many thanks, Umesh.
Great to be on here. Thanks for inviting me again, guys, and I look forward to catching up with you very soon.
All right, it's great to have you on.
Definitely. So many thanks for listening to this special weekday Motor Trade Radio podcast. We're back with the headlines this weekend. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Thank you for listening to this special weekday Motor Trade Radio podcast, powered by Motors and Cazoo. Philip and Curtis will be back with the week's big motor retailing headlines on Saturday.